everyone.
Welcome back to the Book Brood, and today
Yes.
Heidi's going to be bringing you a more in-depth review of Wilder Girls.
Wilder Girls by Rory Power. So this is a new thing that I'm trying out, trying to be a little more critical with my reading. Books tend to melt together, kind of turn into one big sludge up there in the brain when I read 12 a month or something like that. So this is, I'm just going to be focusing on one book and trying to go through it a little bit.
And the fact that we stopped using star reviews quite a while ago, it makes it difficult for you as the audience to really get a gauge of how we felt about it when we're flying through a wrap-up, just being like, yeah, this one was good, this one not so much.
Yeah, absolutely. And when we're each talking about like 8 books or something like that, that's a lot to get through in one wrap-up. Sorry if you hear some noise. Our neighbors are having their roof redone, so there's a little bit of that happening. Wilder Girls. I've just now started hearing about it on Booktube. This was released in July of last year, 2019. This is being marketed as a YA horror thriller, and this is a story about an all-girls school set on an island, and something happened about 2 years ago when the story starts, and the teachers started dying and the girls started changing, and now they are basically barricaded in their school with a fence, and they don't go outside because something's in the woods. That's how it's being marketed. That's the synopsis on the back of the book.
Okay.
This book gave me incredibly strong Annihilation vibes. Who wrote that?
Jeff Vandermeer.
Jeff Vandermeer, yes. But this is like a YA version of it. But it did still have a lot of that body horror, kind of creepy vibes that Annihilation had.
Okay. So it changes, so like there's the whole thing of there's a place.
There's a place.
And there's weird things, and it does weird things to the people.
In the place.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it very much had that vibe. So I actually did not enjoy this book. I was really looking forward to this book. I was so excited. I thought it was going to be much more straightforward, creepy, like there was an outside force like trying to get them or whatever. But much like Annihilation, it is a very internal thing. Like their bodies are changing. But like backing up a little bit, I realized when I was making notes that even though I did not enjoy this book, it had a lot of good things going for it. One of the main things is this is an almost entirely female cast of characters. There are, I think, 2 male characters and one is like a very minor character. Well, they're both very minor characters. And the rest are women, which is awesome. That means that we have like female heroes and female villains.
Right.
You've got the whole spectrum of like women saving women, women saving themselves. And so that was really cool. I don't get to read a lot of those. That being said, these are teenage girls.
Okay.
So I struggle to enjoy stories about teenage girls. The mentality of like teenage angst.
So was it too much on the nose of teenage girls, or was it teenage girls acting beyond their maturity?
I think that this book was trying to do too much. And it wanted to hit all of these different plot points and themes, but it also wanted that creepy distance that Annihilation did.
Right.
Where you don't really understand what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
And those two styles didn't blend as well as I would have liked them to. So you have the teenagers having like relationship drama. This features a female-female relationship, and there's like, will they, won't they, and like, you know, that kind of teenage drama. But then there was a female character who has a very strong motivation to save another female character, and these are both teenage girls, and I found that to be very well done. It was like a teenager feeling like my whole world will crash down if I don't save them.
Okay.
But that felt believable, and so they took risks that wouldn't necessarily be like, maybe a grown-up person wouldn't take these risks.
Okay, yeah.
But so I thought that was well done. I don't know. So both.
So is it too spoiler to get in what she needed to save this other girl from?
Well, this whole thing is spoilery.
Okay.
We should put a spoiler alert on the very front of this. So one character goes missing. Mm-hmm. So one character gets sent to the hospital wing or like the infirmary or whatever, and nobody else is allowed up there unless you are so sick that you have to go up there. And most girls never come back down from there.
Okay.
And so our character went to go visit her friend, and she was told she couldn't, and so she like sneaks in the middle of the night and finds that the entire infirmary is empty. Mm-hmm. Nobody's there. And so she's like, oh my God, where's my friend? Overhears something which was a little cliche, like, I overheard a conversation where they spelled out everything that's happening, you know?
Right.
Which is a little, whatever.
You gotta move the plot forward.
Exactly, yeah. So then she realizes she has to leave the school, leave the grounds, like go outside of the gate, the fence, out into the rest of the island and go find her friend. Mm-hmm. But as I was making notes for this, I also realized that what I think the author was going for here is the thing that they call it the tox, right? It's like a virus or something that they're all exposed to. And everything on the island is exposed to it.
Okay.
And it killed off most of the older teachers, those that are post-menopausal, I guess. Because there was this thing about estrogen interfering with the tox or whatever.
Okay.
But the tox also like changed all the wildlife and made them like vicious, like zombie kind of things.
Interesting.
So this is what I'm saying. There was a little too much going on.
Uh-huh.
It wasn't as clear cut as I think it should have been to like get these points across. But there was a moment where one of the youngest girls, who was like pre-puberty when the tox hit, hadn't experienced, like the young girls had not yet experienced the symptoms until they hit puberty. And so like during one of the earlier scenes in this book, the youngest girl finally like gets an episode, and right, they go through these about once a month or so, have an episode of like change where the tox like manifests some sort of illness in it, like they get a new change that's happening. Some of it's really gross, like coughing up teeth or like growing extra bones, and some of it's just bizarre, like your skin changes to scales or you get gills or something. Like it's all very convoluted and weird. But in this scene, the girl is very proud that now she's like everyone else, right? So it's very much a period. Yeah, exactly, right? And I thought there was going to be more to that, because there was a very strong theme of the estrogen in these young teenage girls is keeping them alive while a lot of other people are dying from the tox. But it didn't actually go into enough explanation on that, or like it didn't even explore that enough. I thought maybe it was like, okay, well, this is all a big metaphor for how women have to adapt to survive or something like that. But it didn't really go that way.
All right. Like it couldn't decide whether to focus on the camaraderie of the characters in this situation or the event of what's going on.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
just kind of meandered somewhere in between.
It meandered a lot, yeah. And it felt like there were several like jump scare moments, or like not jump scares, but like in Annihilation, it's very like creepy but solid, and then something scary would happen, right? Like the monster that came in with the like voices, right, in Annihilation. With like
in the movie?
Yeah, with
Okay.
like it uses the voices of its past victims or something, right? But like there's that one monster scene and it's creepy, and then it goes back to like a more like calm, like average creepy. So like it tried to hit those kind of notes, I feel like, because there were moments where there were creatures. Like there were deer that turned cannibalistic, and they were out in the woods at night with these deer, and they're like, what? It's just a deer. And then the deer tries to attack them. And there was like wildlife, which was weird because then there was wildlife that I was like, wait, do those even exist on islands? I don't understand. There was like cougars and black bears. I don't know how many of those are like really live on islands, but
yeah.
I don't know. So I basically did not like this book for most of it, and then there was a moment there with like an hour and a half left on the audiobook where I was like, oh, this is great. This is actually going to end really well, where everyone's going to be trying to survive so hard that they end up throwing each other in front of the bus for their own survival, right? And then they're all going to actually end up getting killed in the end. And I really was hoping that's where it was going to go. But then it was like a series of events that were super convenient to make the main characters like slip out of almost getting killed so many times back to back to back to back. And then it ends ambiguous, where it's like you think they're gonna survive, but they haven't quite made it yet. We're just gonna leave our characters here on a very, very wishy-washy, like middle ground. Like they're probably gonna die, but we don't know for sure.
Okay.
And the author literally abandoned the two main characters in a boat in the middle of the ocean. Like they're both like wounded and probably will die, but you don't know.
Yeah. So like almost like the author didn't know where to take it either.
I don't know. I think that this author did some interesting things. I don't think it was that unique, like I said, because it felt so much like Annihilation.
Let's be clear though that the Southern Reach trilogy is not a perfect entity.
I only read the
itself
first
either,
one, but
so.
like no. No, but at least that one was like more original.
Yeah.
In that, like I had never read or heard anything like that before.
Yeah, definitely Annihilation was something. I mean, the whole series was something interesting, but yeah, it had its own flaws. But we don't need to go into that.
Yeah. Anyways, I can't decide whether I would recommend this or not to people because, like I said, I was disappointed, but it did do some interesting things. So, I don't know. I'm glad I'm not rating this because I have no idea what I would rate it.
Read at your own risk.
Yeah, like enjoyment level, it's low, but like it gave me things to think about. So there we go. That was a short wrap up full of spoilers.
All right, so that's Wilder Girls by Rory Power.
Yep.
Do you think there'll be a sequel?
No, it's a standalone.
Okay.
The author is coming out with a new book later on. Actually, I think it's next year. I think exploring some of the similar themes, but not in the same series or like connected at all.
Okay.
Okay, that's it. Leave me a comment down below.